we learned the Luluya Nishis Barucha Bas Rav Yehuda. Today is one of those complicated gemorahs, math. If you don't like math, it's complicated. If you like math, it's nice and easy. So we're trying to work out here the size of a sukkah. How big does a round sukkah have to be? So we're on Sukkah Daf Zayin base. Just a quick recap. Reb Chaim said, quick recap. Reb Chaim says a sukkah that's round. We know it according to Rebbe. Let's go back to Rebbe. According to Rebbe, a sukkah has to be 4 amas by 4 amas, 4 by 4.
Amen.
Thank you very much. So Rebbe said a sukkah that has to be 4 by 4 amas, right? This comes on Rabbi Yochanan and says, what size does a round sukkah have to be? What size does a round sukkah have to be? So says Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, with 5 letters at the bottom with Zayin on the base. Quick recap. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, sukkah suya kekivshon, round. Im yesh bekefa kedeleish b'chav dala b'nei adam k'sheira. If you could sit around the outside of your sukkah 24 people, it's kosher. 24 people is a lot of people. That's a big sukkah, right? 24 people all the way around, then it's kosher. And if not, vim lav, so it's not good. So what's going on over here? Why do you need so many people? Come on. Who is he going according to? He doesn't hold like Beis Shammai, the Beis Hillel. He needs 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim, 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. He is holding like Rebbe. Come on, Rebbe. He passes like Rebbe. The Alma calls SUCCAH Chaim ba arba amas al arba amas psula. The sukkah needs to have 4 feet by 4 feet, and that's why you need to be able to sit 24 people around. So around the square, I guess you could fit normally 4 feet. If a person fits in a foot, so you should be able to sit 16 people. So Gemara wants to know now, why does he require 24? That's the setup of the Gemara. Why did Reb Chaim say a round sukkah has to fit 24 people, even if he holds like Rebbe, who's the biggest share of a minimum share of a sukkah? He says you need 4 feet by 4 feet for a square sukkah. That should require 16 people to sit around in a square, right? So why does a round sukkah need 24 people? The Gemara is going to go to the math now. Says the Gemara. Let's see. Says the Gemara. Michti. What do you need 24 people for? Says Rabbi Chaim, Gavra ba'amsa Yosef. A person sits in an amma. I guess it means shoulder width, 50 centimeters. That's your width of your average guy's shoulder, right? So someone takes up an amma. The kol sheyesh bekefai shleisha tvachim. Now the Gemara is going to do the math now. Any circle sheyesh bekefai shleisha tvachim yesh beiroich of tefach. So the Gemara, when it's making the calculations of circles, the area of a circle, we're going to see the circumference of a circle. It doesn't use radius. It's using only roichav, the diameter, right? So any circle, says the Gemara, that the circumference is 3. The line going around the circle, if that's 3, the diameter is 1. The circle, in other words, we know that we use a formula of 2 pi r for the circumference of a circle. It's basically pi d, the diameter times pi. So it's basically the diameter times 3.142. The Gemara is leidak. The Gemara says times 3. Okay, so it's diameter times 3. That's the circumference of a circle, 3. We're going to see what the Gemara soon says, leidak. We don't care about the 0.1, whatever it is, 3. So, again, any circle that's got a circumference of 3, the diameter is 1, right? In that case, so if that's true, why do you need 24 people to sit around the outside? You'll notice that 24, a third of 24 is 8. A third of 24 is 8, Shalom Aleichem. A third of 24 is 8. So why do you need 24? You should need betray sasagi. 12 should be enough. In other words, what's a third of 12? 4. So if there's a circumference of 12, then the diameter is 4. That should be good enough, right? If Rebbe says you need 4 by 4, so for some reason the Gemara is assuming at this stage that if the circumference of the circle is 12, we know the diameter is 4. That should be enough for your sukkah. A diameter of 4. Okay? Turn the page. Ches Amud Aleph. 8 side A. All right. Says the Gemara. Why do you? So the question now. Back to the question. Rebbe says you need a 24 people to sit around the outside of the circle. I'm sorry. Reb Chaim says you need 24 people. Now the Gemara is going to say, what? Why do you need 24? We just said, since the diameter of the circle is a third of the circumference, the diameter from side to side of the circle, you cut the circle in half. You got a semicircle now. The flat part is going to be 4, and the circumference is going to be 12. So why do I need this to be 24? It's twice as big as you need. So Gemara says, nah, ani many big gula. To get the 4 by 4, you're right, the diameter of the circle is 4. But we need 4 by 4. It's not enough to have a line of 4 in your sukkah. You need to have the sukkah has to be 4 by 4 according to Rebbe, right? Listen to the genius math over here. We're going to work it out. See how the Gemara understands how you calculate the areas, the circles, stuff you never knew. So the Gemara wants to know. So, let's see if any of you guys know this. How much is a square bigger than a circle? In other words, you take a circle, you have a pie of pizza. Let's talk about pies of pizza. This is the only circle people use in today's day and age, besides a tie. I don't know. You take a circle, you have a pie of pizza, and you have a box that fits exactly around your pie of pizza. Fits snug in, right? How much is that box, area of the box, bigger than the area of the circle?
Better question. Why is there a square box for a round circle?
Because it's easy to make. It's cheaper to make.
No, I think because
you can't fold. No, you can't fold a round box. No one can make a round box. It's an old problem. How much is the square box that fits around the pie pizza bigger than the pie pizza? How much is the square bigger than the circle? In other words, the diameter of the circle is 4, and the sides of the square are 4. How much is the square bigger than the circle? So it says the Gemara. I bet you never knew this. Says the Gemara, a square is bigger than the circle by a quarter. 25% bigger. Amazing. You knew that? You're wasting a quarter of the box on that circle. That's how much you're wasting if you make the round pizza box like you want to do. Right? So if that's true, on Taisa, we'll see there's big Taisas, we're going to read it soon, making the calculation why a square is bigger than a circle by a quarter. Says the Gemara, if that's true, that the square is bigger than a circle by 25%, in other words, what does that mean by 25%? That means, excuse me, if the diameter of the circle is 4, your pie of pizza is 4 inches wide, right? Small pie. Personal pie. It's 4 wide. 4 tvachim. That means the circumference of the circle is 12, right? 4 by 3, 3.1, light dark. Now, so how big is the square going to be around that pie pizza? It's going to be 4 by 4, right? Even you could do this math. 4 by 4, 16. Now, what's the area of this pie? 12. Now that's going to be this Taisus. That means you're wasting over here 4 out of the 16. A quarter of the 16 is wasted. The corners of the box, because the box is 16, and the pie only takes up 12. Now don't think, Taisus is this whole kasha, don't think that we know the area of the pizza is 12 because the circumference of the pizza is 12. No, nothing to do with that. Happens to be if the area is, if the diameter of the pizza is 4, right? That means the radius is 2. Pi r squared means 2 by 2 is 4. By pi, by 3, is 12. You get the same 12. Happens to be. Okay? So the area of the pi is 12. Taisus doesn't use pi. We're going to see Taisus, he goes with a whole different calculation, how you work out the area of a circle. Good old-fashioned math. Old-fashioned. But either way, says the Gemara, you see, the Gemara knew this thousands of years ago, that the area of a square, the box of the pizza, wastes 25%. The corners around the circle, that's 25% wasted. So it says the Gemara, so B'shista Sagi, 16 is enough. B'shitza Sagi, 16 is enough. I don't need 24. In other words, again, why? He says you need 24. Why do you need 24? I only need 16. Says the Gemara, Hani mili bigula the nafik migu rebua. If you have a circle inside of a square, you pie of pizza, right? You got a circle inside the square, you're right. Alva berbua, in that case, you're right. 16 should be enough for the circle to be inside of the square. Aval, in our case, we have a sukkah. The minimum share of a sukkah is a square. It's 4 by 4. So the circle has to go around the entire square. It's not enough for a circle to fit inside the pizza. In other words, if you have a pizza inside the box, you're right. It could be way smaller. But if you've got the pizza has to be big enough that the entire box fits inside the pizza, so your pizza has to be way, way bigger, right? The square box has to fit inside the pizza. The 4 by 4 has to fit inside the circle of the sukkah. Because Rebbe says the minimum shiva sukkah is 4 by 4. And you have a circle, the entire sukkah has to fit inside that circle. So how big does that circle have to be? So do the math. So Gemara says, you need more. How much? Mishum Musa the Karnasa, because of the corners. Karnasa, corners. Even sounds the same, right? In other words, if you have a circle in a box, the corners are going to stick out outside the pizza pie. Outside the circle, you got the corners. So the circle has to be bigger than the entire box. How much bigger does it have to be, says the Gemara. Let's make a calculation. How much bigger does the circle have to be? Michti kol amsa berbu v'treyamsa b'alachsoina. Taisa says, in that case, b'shivsa and chechum shasagi, with 16 and 4/5, it's enough. What's Taisa saying of it? Taisa says like this. Another calculation you probably never knew. If you have a square, square box, how much is the diagonal line bigger than the two sides?
Half.
Huh? Again, you got a square box, 4 by 4. Diagonal line from corner to corner.
2 by 2.
No. Again, 4 by 4.
2 by 4. Because you're cutting in half.
You're cutting how long is that? In other words, like this. So you got your pizza box, which is 4 by 4, right? The circle has to go around the whole pizza box.
Yeah.
Now the diameter of the circle is from corner to corner of the square. It's not 4 by 4. It's longer than 4 by 4. It's got to go from corner to corner of the pizza box, right? If you've got a box like this line is going to always be longer than the two sides, right?
So it's 2 by
Here's 4, and this is here. It's
2 by 4, whatever.
It's one number. It's not 2 by 4. You mean the 4 by 4? 16? It's not 4 by 4.
No, it's not 4 by 4. It's 8.
It's not double as long as those two lines. If you stretch out the two lines, it's going to be way longer. You got two lines like this, right? It's not that long. It's basically, says the Gemara, it's amsav chumshi. It's 1 2/5. You have to add 2/5 to the line. You hear this number? You got to add 2/5. You got to add 40%. The diagonal across the square is 40% bigger than the two sides. 40% bigger. So if this line is 1, this is 1 2/5. If the square is 4, how big is it going to be? You have to add 2/5 for each one of the 4. It's 5 3/5. So the diagonal is 5 3/5. If the diagonal is 5 3/5 of this square, if the diagonal is 5 3/5, and we know the circumference is 3 times the 5 3/5, so how big does the circumference have to be? 5 times 3 is 15. 3/5 times 3 is 9/5, aka 16 4/5. That's what you're left with. 16 4/5. So the circumference has to be yeshivs and the circumference of the pizza box, the circumference of the sukkah rather, is enough. It fits 16 and 17. Shifts and 17 minus a fifth. So now we've got the exact number we need. No one argues on this. This is a share. Rebbe says the sukkah has to be 4 by 4, and for the circle of the sukkah to go around the 4 by 4, how big does that circle have to be? The Gemara calculated it 16 4/5. Why? Because if it's 16 4/5, the diameter, the cross section of the circle is 5 3/5, which is a third of the circumference. Like duck, it's not, we don't go 3.142, we'll call it 3. So you got 5 3/5 diameter, and that's what's going to fit into the square. Now Taisus has this whole cheshbon. How do you know that the diagonal across a box is 40% bigger than the two sides?
I know, I'm in another world.
Okay. We'll get there. Take a look at Taisus. Take a look at the bottom Taisus. This is very easy. Easy stuff for you. Says Taisus, Ein cheshbon muchuven. It's not accurate. It's not exactly 40% bigger. 2/5. Bottom Taisus. No. Kol amsa birbua amsa chumcha. The Gemara says, a quick recap for those of you that just checked in. If you've got a square and there's 1 meter on this side, 1 meter on that side, it's a square, it's going to be the same. How long is the diagonal? The Gemara said it's 40% bigger. Shtei chumshi. So the diagonal is going to be 40% bigger. It's going to be 1.4. The diagonal. Says the Taisus, that's not accurate. Listen to his cheshbon. Taisus says, it's not accurate. Why? It's a tiny bit more than 40%. It's 1.41. Why is it 1.41? Says Taisus, take a look at the picture. If you take a box, right? Should I tell you, should we read it inside or I'll tell you outside? What do you say? You take a box. You see the picture. So Taisus says, you take a box, right? Any square. Call the square 10 by 10. Now, if you draw a square inside the square, diamond shaped, right? So what you've really done is you've taken your square, your 10 by 10, you've made it into 5 by 5. 4 boxes of 5 by 5, right? 5, 5, 5, 5. Right? So now when you do a diamond inside that square, when you put the diamond inside the square, you've cut each square in half. Right? Like in the picture here. So you've got a square and then you put a diamond inside the square. The diamond is exactly half this area of the square. Right? How do I know it's exactly half? Because you've got 4 squares. You've got 4 quadrants. Each quadrant is cut in half. So the area of the inside diamond shape is exactly half of the bigger square. Right? Now, how big...
Yeah.
Now, says Taisus, take a look at the side. You've got 4 boxes of 5 by 5. You cut them in half. Now the inside square, the inside diamond shape is 50 squares, right? The outside one is 100, inside's 50. Now if you're going to tell me it's 2/5, exactly 2/5, then what you'd end up with is each one is 5, Each box is 5 by 5. 5 times 2/5 is 7. 7 by 7 is 49, and we know this square is 50, so it's slightly more than 40%. Says Taisus, it's 1.41. It's not 1.4. It's a little bit more than 2/5. Otherwise, the square would never be 50. The square inside has to be 7 by 7, and 7 by 7 is 49. And it's got to be 50. So you're missing a tiny bit, says Taisus. Okay. Back in the gemorah. So it says the gemorah. So we left with a kasha. Reb Chaim said you need 24 people to sit around the sukkah. We're out of the math now. Says Reb Chaim says you need 24 people to sit in the sukkah. And we did the math that said, no, a circle that goes around the square only has to be 16 and 4/5. 17 minus a fifth. So why did he say you need 24 people? Amud Yomi like that purta. So says the gemorah like that. You know why like that? The gemorah wasn't accurate. He threw out a number. He wasn't being specific. He said 24. It's like that means he wasn't being exact, precise. You need roughly 24. But really it's only 17. I say Amud Yomi like that purta. Tuvami Yomi like that. We'll say like that about a small number. Something in very, very small. The Gemara doesn't want to get into specifics. 3.1, 3. But do you say like duck about such a huge number? He says 24. You really only need 16. You need 17. What's going on here? Shkaya, thank you. Says the Gemara. Amud Yomi like that put Tuvami Yomi like that. Makshishi b'eder chista l'Ravashi. Mi savas gamer ba'amsa Yosef. The whole calculation is off. You think that a guy sits in a tefach, a guy sits in an amma, right? And therefore this sukkah is 24 ammas. No, you're wrong. The whole thing's off. Trey gavra b'klasa amsa Yosef. 3 people sit in 2 ammas. You can squeeze 3 people in 2 ammas, so a person is not an amma. A person is 2/3 of an amma. So how much is it? Kamahavi lushitza. So when Reb Chaim said you need 24 people to sit around, if 3 people sit in 2 ammas, how big does the sukkah have to be? Shitza, 16 ammas. 16! Not 24 ammas. You thought each bus is an amma. No, each bus is not an amma. 3 people sit in 2 ammas, and therefore Reb Chaim is saying the sukkah has to be 16 ammas circumference. The Gemara says, what do you mean 16 ammas? We need 16 and 4/5. You're just telling me 16. You're off. Your numbers are off. 16 and 4/5 is not 16. So the Gemara answered like that. You're right. But this is already a more accurate like that. This is not just a random like that is not accurate. Here, he said you need 16, and really you need 16 and 4/5. But you're close. That you can say a like that on less than a number. In other words, it doesn't get into decimal points, right? Okay, so says the Gemara. Really? You say such a thing? We'll say like dak l'chumra. We'll make Chazal will throw out a number that's more than you need by a tiny fraction. It won't throw out a number less than you need by a tiny fraction. We never do it with the Gemara. Never says a like dak that's l'kula. In other words, he'll always add a little bit extra that you don't make a mistake. Here, if you do the exact number the Gemara tells you, you're going to blow it. It's too little. 16 is not enough. You need 16 and 4/5. The Gemara would never tell you like dark, l'kula, only l'chumra. The Gemara goes back to the original answer now. So you know what? Amalei, Ravasi, Ravashi, Lo'elim Gavra B'amsi Yosef. Really, we were right. A man sits in the Amma. Reb Chaim Mokum Gavri like a chashiv. Reb Chaim is not taking into calculation the size of the person. We'll see what that means in a second. And Hainu. Okay. So Srei b'shivs in the chechum shasagi. Hainu leidak v'lechum leidak. Okay. So what's he saying over here? When he says 24 people have to sit inside the sukkah, what he means is if you take a sukkah, you take this round sukkah, and there's 24 people sitting around the sukkah, so you've got 24 amas around. How much is the diameter of the circle that's 24? It's 8. 8 by 3 is 24, right? The diameter is a third of the circumference. Now, you don't calculate the width of the person. Take out those two people. In other words, you've got one guy on this side of the circle, one guy on that side of the circle. Take off those people. You're left with a diameter of 6. And if there's diameter 6, what's that means? The area is 18. That's what he's saying. He's saying you need a circumference of 18. And for 18 is close enough to 17 to say loidak. And that's l'chumra, and l'chumra we do say loidak. So that's what we're saying, l'maskana, l'chayra. At this stage, he says you need 18 and loidak. All right, we have to end over here. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Now, if you think I understood anything, I didn't. Which is why